And welcome back, and now we're along with Dr. Terry Swinger, State Representative of the 162nd District here in the Boot Hill. And Terry, it's good to have you back with us in studio.
It is good to be back with you. We're going to crank off a special session in the legislature here pretty soon.
Yeah, that's coming up. When's the date on that?
Well, actually, the specific date hasn't been set. Everybody seems to think that it'll start the day after Labor Day on the 6th day of September, and then just committees will meet then. And then the full legislature will be back in session the next week. Our annual veto session mandated by the Constitution this year will be on September the 14th, a Wednesday. But I'm sure we'll be doing things for the special session too. And to me, the thing we need to work on the most is the disaster recovery. I've been appointed and I've served on the Disaster Recovery Committee in the House of Representatives. And this past Monday, Tyler, I went down to New Madrid and got on the Corps of Engineers vessel, the Mississippi, and they had testimony from people in the area, and I testified on that. And some of the things that we had worked on our disaster recovery. And, you know, there's some of those folks down there that had a lot of their farmland. There was over 130,000 acres flooded. And a lot of people lost their homes. I mean, it was just a sad thing. And so there were 26 people that testified, and I was one of them. And hopefully the Corps of Engineers will make the decision to put that levee back like it was. At the present time, they're going to put it back temporarily to 51 feet, where it was at about 60 and a half feet. So it could make them susceptible to more flooding. And then I'm going to go to Jefferson City Tuesday. The Senate has a disaster recovery committee now, and the chairman of it, actually it's Senator Ron Richard, who was the Speaker of the House last year. He's the chairman of it, and he lives in Joplin. And the two trips I've made to Joplin, I've been to see him. So it's going to cost a lot of money, and the director of the budget, Linda Lubring, says that there's no way to estimate it now. We don't know what it's going to cost. You recall the governor committed $25 million to southeast Missouri during our flooding. Mm-hmm. He committed $25 million to Joplin when they had the terrible tornado, and now there's been another $100 million from incentives, tax breaks, enterprise zones, those things from the Department of Economic Development. And so that's $150 million, and that's not counting what's happening up in northwest Missouri. And the folks up there are extremely concerned now what they're going to do. They've had a lot of problems. The governor asked for, and the president just declared 6 more counties in northwest Missouri disaster also. So, you know, there's just a lot of problems, a lot of things we need to discuss and finally figure out. Now, an interesting thing is that Joplin has finally started school, and they started on time. And Dr. Huff, the superintendent, said they would do that, and everybody kind of said, well, you know, there's no way they can do that. But they had all kinds of volunteers come in and help, and they did. It's amazing how much work they did. The picture you just saw on your screen was of the St. John's Hospital, and a real good friend of mine, Dr. Cable, and his wife, 84 years old, live real close to that. I just got a picture yesterday from him showing where they were. It showed you could see the bed, and this just like the pictures you just saw. It's amazing that they lived through it. But they got school started day before yesterday there. They had places for all of them to go. Some of them are in old buildings, old school buildings that hadn't been used in a long time. Some of them are in trailers like we did in Crothersville, the FEMA trailers, and the juniors and seniors are in a shopping mall. And they were pretty thrilled when they got there Wednesday, Tyler, because there were a group of people from the nursing home standing out there that had signs. They were holding up signs that said Joplin Eagles on it, and it really excited them. And then the principal took them into the cafeteria, and he said, well, I'm speaking to you in a cafeteria, and all the kids laughed because they thought that was funny. And he said a lot of people have come together to make this possible today, and the community and the country is expecting a lot of you. And he said, we are having school this year, and you're going to like it. So I don't know what that meant. They're going to make it so good that the kids are going to like it, or they're going to insist they like it. But you know, it's great that he set a standard. He raised the bar up for them to do, and they've been through so much. It's going to be kind of interesting. They might kick it up a notch or two this year.
Sure.
They make some grades, and they handed out laptop computers to all the juniors, and the governor was there, and he made some statements about that. I mean, it was just phenomenal. That 19 schools, 9 were destroyed. Nearly half of their facilities were destroyed. I saw some of them when I was over there, and now since the May the 22nd is when that was, and they were able to have places for all those kids to go to school today, and that's just amazing. I mean, it's a remarkable story, and another thing is the commissions did vote to dissolve. They could not come up with redistricting plans for the House of Representatives. They could not come up with plans for the Senate. They had until yesterday. They had until August the 18th to come up with a plan and send it to the Secretary of State's office. Then they had till September the 18th to vote on that and have the final plan in there, but they voted not to even meet anymore. So now it goes to 6 appellate judges, and the Supreme Court will appoint them. We have 3 districts in Missouri. We have the Eastern District in St. Louis, the Western in Kansas City, we have the Southern in Joplin, and there are 32 of those appellate judges. And the only rules now are that they will appoint 2 judges from each district, so it'll be a total of 6 judges. And traditionally, the Supreme Court Justice, who is Richard Titleman, will usually makes those appointments. So they have now until December the 17th to come up with all the redistricting. And an interesting scenario is in this, because if they come up with that, and they really can't start meeting until September the 18th, because that's when the Constitution says the other one's finally dissolved. If they come up with that before November the 6th of this year, then there'll be a full year until November the 6th of next year, when the election actually happens. So then anybody that files for the House of Representatives, and the Senate's not quite as generous, because out here in these rural areas, all Senate districts are complete counties, but the House of Representatives, they split them up to get the numbers. See, we have nearly 6 million people in the state of Missouri now. We grew by 7% in the last census. Even though we lost a congressional seat, we didn't grow as fast as others. So now you take the nearly 6 million and you divide that by 163 to see how many will be in a representatives district, which is about 40,000, and then you take the 34 Senate seats divided into that to see how many's in a Senate district. Now it's nearly 175,000. So the rule is, if they don't come up with what the districts are going to look like by November the 7th, and they do it November the 6th, and they do it between November the 6th and December the 17th, then the 1-year residency law will not be in effect. What that means is that someone in a state representative district, and only in urban areas could this happen in the Senate, but in all over the state now, if the new district's drawn and the person is living somewhere that's not even that district, they can run in the old district, or they can run in the new district, or they can run in any district that has any county in it that they were in. So there's a possibility there could be 3 different districts that someone that is now serving that has can serve another term that they could run in any one of those 3 districts. Now, if they run in one that they don't live in, the requirement is if they run the next time, they have to move to that district within a year before that next election. So it's an interesting scenario. We're going to have to see how it plays out, because if they don't come up with that new map by the 6th of November, and if they do, then they have to have the 1-year residency. But if they don't come up with it, then a number of different scenarios could develop. You could have people that could run in more than one district.
Yeah, I guess that's just the drama that comes from the census every 10 years.
It is. It happens every 10 years, and we've done it ever since we've been a nation. And then the next year, you draw new maps, and interestingly enough, this is the 3rd time that it has gone to the courts, that the legislature could not come up with it, and in none of those instances, Tyler, has the court come up with the districts so the 1-year residency would be in effect. In other words, this year by November the 6th. So tradition tells us that they won't be able to do that. That'll be between November the 6th and December the 17th. And then these scenarios where folks that are running for re-election could run in more than one district.
Sure. All
Interesting.
Right. We'll see how it all turns out, and you'll be bringing us the information, of course. And we appreciate you
Certainly.
calling in and coming in every Friday and
Hey,
keeping us up to date on things.
It's a great pleasure to be here. Thanks,
Sure.
Tyler. Always good to be with you.
Oh,
Thanks.
as always.
All right, thanks.
And I'll be back with your local